Canada's decision did not arrive with dramatic speeches or loud celebrations, yet its impact sent shockwaves through the global defense world. For decades, Canada was expected to remain firmly aligned with American military aviation, relying on US-built fighter jets as a natural extension of NATO cooperation. That assumption quietly collapsed the moment Canada seriously turned toward Sweden's Gripen. What initially looked like a routine procurement discussion suddenly transformed into a strategic disruption. This was never just about selecting a new aircraft. It was about control, sovereignty, and redefining power inside modern military alliances. Inside Canadian defense circles, unease had been growing for years. Modern fighter jets are no longer simple machines made of metal and engines. They are flying computers controlled by software, data permissions, and encrypted networks. Every upgrade, every new weapon integration, and sometimes even operational availability depends on who controls the code. For Canada, this raised an uncomfortable question. Can a nation truly claim air power sovereignty if another country controls its aircraft's digital brain? The more Canadian analysts examined the American option, the more these concerns sharpened. The jet itself was undeniably powerful, but it came with long-term dependencies. Software access limits, upgrade approvals, and data sharing conditions created a future where operational freedom could be influenced by political alignment. In peacetime, these constraints seemed manageable. In a crisis, they could become strategic liabilities. Canada began to realize that strength without control is not true strength. Sweden's philosophy stood in sharp contrast. Instead of designing aircraft for global dominance, Sweden built its fighter for survival, independence, and rapid adaptation. The Gripen was engineered to operate from highways and improvised runways, supported by small teams and minimal infrastructure. More importantly, it allowed the operating nation to control upgrades, weapons integration, and mission software. For Canadian planners facing vast geography, harsh weather, and dispersed bases, this approach was not just attractive, it made sense. This shift quietly unsettled Washington. For decades, Canada's air defense future had been assumed to remain tightly woven into the American defense industrial system. NORAD cooperation, shared intelligence, and joint operations created an expectation that Canada would naturally stay within the U.S. aircraft ecosystem. But expectations are not guarantees. Canada began to see that seamless integration can also mean silent dependency, where strategic decisions are shaped by technical restrictions rather than national interest. As discussions deepened, the debate moved beyond performance metrics and radar ranges. It became about leverage. Who decides when an aircraft is upgraded? Who controls access to mission data? Who has the final say during political disagreements? These questions mattered more than raw speed or stealth figures. Canada was no longer comparing jets. It was comparing futures. European defense analysts watched closely. If a country as closely aligned with the United States as Canada could seriously consider an alternative path, it signaled something bigger. This was not just a procurement story. It was a warning sign that the traditional model of defense dependence was being questioned. Smaller nations began to see that technological sophistication no longer had to come at the cost of autonomy. Pressure quietly increased. Supporters of the American platform emphasized alliance unity and interoperability. Critics of the Swedish option warned about logistics and compatibility challenges. But beneath those arguments was a deeper fear: losing influence. Defense equipment has always been more than hardware. It is a tool of geopolitical alignment. Choosing a different aircraft means choosing a different balance of power. Canada understood the risks. Choosing Sweden meant resisting political pressure and redefining long-standing assumptions. But it also meant gaining flexibility in an unpredictable world. Modern warfare evolves faster than bureaucratic approval chains. The ability to adapt quickly can determine success or failure long before the first missile is launched. What truly changed everything was the realization that Canada was not alone in its doubts. Quietly, other nations were reassessing their own defense dependencies. The idea that one aircraft could fit every alliance, every threat, and every national interest was starting to crack. Sweden's model offered a different path, one based on trust, flexibility, and shared responsibility rather than centralized control. As the decision solidified, the shock was already irreversible. Canada had sent a message that partnership does not require surrendering sovereignty. As Canada moved closer to finalizing its Gripen decision, the implications for the global defense landscape became undeniable. Analysts in Europe and Asia began reassessing their own strategic assumptions. If a G7 nation, historically aligned with the United States, could embrace a smaller, independent fighter platform, the precedent was powerful. It suggested that advanced air power no longer had to come exclusively from traditional superpowers. Smaller, agile systems with autonomy at their core could redefine what it meant to be militarily strong in the 21st century. Within Canada, internal debates intensified. Politicians, military leaders, and defense planners weighed not only performance metrics, but also long-term strategic independence. The Gripen's adaptability, shorter maintenance cycles, and ability to integrate domestic technologies offered a rare combination of readiness and autonomy. By controlling its upgrades and software, Canada could ensure that future threats, whether technological, cyber, or conventional, would not outpace its operational control. It was a rare opportunity to reclaim sovereignty in a domain often dictated by larger powers. The United States, while publicly emphasizing continued cooperation and interoperability, quietly registered concern. The Pentagon had long treated Canada as a dependable partner whose air capabilities would seamlessly integrate with U.S. systems. The prospect of a Canadian Gripen fleet introduced uncertainties into joint planning and NORAD operations. This concern, however, underscored the very advantage that Canada sought: freedom to act independently while still maintaining alliance commitments. The message was clear: autonomy can coexist with partnership, but it requires thoughtful choices and strategic courage. Sweden, for its part, understood the historical weight of the moment. The Gripen was more than just a jet. It was a symbol of an alternative defense philosophy. By enabling nations to maintain operational control, integrate weapons domestically, and rapidly adapt to new threats, Sweden presented a model where technological capability did not come at the expense of national sovereignty. This philosophy resonated with Canada's strategic vision and amplified the broader message to the world. Defense independence is achievable without sacrificing advanced capability. The Canadian public, while largely unaware of the technical intricacies, began to sense the significance. News outlets highlighted the unexpected move as a bold assertion of sovereignty and strategic foresight. Unlike previous procurement debates focused narrowly on cost or performance, this decision carried a narrative of national empowerment, independence, and long-term foresight. It framed Canada not as a follower of established power, but as a nation capable of shaping its own defense destiny. Operationally, the Gripen's benefits were tangible. Its ability to operate from dispersed locations, maintain readiness with smaller teams, and integrate diverse systems made it uniquely suited for Canada's vast geography. Beyond that, it allowed for a level of tactical flexibility that traditional American platforms could not provide without external approvals. In a world where speed and adaptability often dictate outcomes, these advantages were profound. As the deal moved forward, the ripple effects across defense markets became apparent. Other nations began re-evaluating their dependencies, questioning whether long-standing choices truly served their national interest or merely reinforced external influence. Canada's move signaled a shift. Technological superiority could now coexist with autonomy. redefining the strategic calculus for mid-sized powers. By embracing the Gripen, Canada set a precedent. It demonstrated that modern air power can be advanced, independent, and strategically flexible. The decision challenged assumptions, redefined partnerships, and sent a clear message to both allies and competitors. True strength lies not just in aircraft performance, but in the ability to control your own destiny. In the coming decades, historians may look back at this moment as a turning point, when Canada quietly, yet decisively, altered the rules of air power acquisition. The Gripen was not just a purchase, it was a statement. It was proof that innovation, autonomy, and foresight could converge to produce a defense strategy capable of shaping the geopolitical balance. And so, Canada's choice did more than enhance its air force. It changed the conversation about sovereignty, independence, and the future of modern warfare. Once nations recognize that they can combine capability with control, the old assumptions about reliance on superpowers may never hold the same weight again. In that quiet, deliberate decision, Sweden's Gripen became more than a fighter jet. It became a symbol of strategic freedom, a reminder that in a complex world, the smartest path is often the one that preserves choice, autonomy, and the power to act without constraint.